I will never forget that snowy day in March of 1996 when David and I sat at our kitchen table in our small little yellow townhouse, and I saw the determination in David's eyes when he talked to me about this new business that we were going to start. And the more determined that he got, the more fear that came over me. Because a few months prior to that, I found out I was pregnant. I was so excited. And then I ended up in the hospital. I was so sick. I was throwing up constantly. And they found out I was allergic to the hormone that my baby was releasing. I was allergic to my own child. Well, prior to that, I'd been a cosmetologist. David was going to school and he was also working full time. And so when I got sick and my income was gone, we were in trouble. You know, at 23, we didn't have a nest egg. I mean, we were living on both of our incomes. I mean, if I was to be completely honest, Sue, we were living on a little bit more than both of our incomes. And so when my income was gone, we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And a few months prior to that, we had tried multi-level marketing company. And in a 9-month period of time, we lost $2,700. A lot of money. So you could probably understand when he was so excited about this new business, why I would be so scared. In fact, you would probably label me as the negative spouse. Anybody here know negative spouse? Anybody here ever been a negative spouse? And I can remember the conversation with David. He said, Stacy, he said, I've looked at all the information. You haven't. He said, when something's right, it is always right, and opinions change. And he said, I believe your opinion is going to change. And it didn't take long. My husband is an absolute genius. He did some amazing things along the way. Within 6 months of partnering with this company, and I will tell you, we had a lot of bumps and bruises. There were a lot of tears, a lot of uncertainty, but within 6 months, we replaced the income from both of our jobs. No, it wasn't a lot of money. In fact, it was about $25,000 a year. You know, so if you're a doctor, it's going to take a little longer to replace your income. For a cosmetologist and a telemarketer, it didn't take that long. Exactly, good news. But by the end of that year, we were annualized at a 6-figure income. I thought at 23, if you made 6 figures, you could buy an island or something. I quickly found out you can't. But not only were we making money, we were partnering with a lot of other people that were making significant income as well. What's the difference? A few months prior to that, we were involved in multi-level marketing. We lost money. We get started with marketamericashop.com. We make money. What is the difference? Well, JR is truly an amazing man. He came up with a plan that the average person earns a way above average income. Would you guys agree? Yeah. You guys can do better than that. Come on, would you guys agree? You just saw all these people come across the stage making money. They couldn't have all been above average. Would you guys agree? If they were above average, then average would just change and we would all be average. I've been giving this a lot of thought. And so look at this. Look at these 5 things. These are the 5 basic fundamentals of our business. This is where we spend our time. Well, today we've heard a lot about retailing. Oh my gosh, incredible tips on retailing. Thank you so much, Lisa, for this morning. That was fabulous, excellent information. Truly, yeah, it was amazing. Give her a hand. We've heard about recruiting and sponsoring. We had Melanie up here, which, oh my gosh, Melanie, you truly are fabulous. You are such a great trainer. And you're doing the things you're training. It's not just talking up here, it's not theory. You're actually applying those things. And then to have the panel, with Phil and Colin and Melanie, I was like, wow, such great information. What I want to take a little time this afternoon, if it's okay with you guys, is I want to focus on the very first thing of the basic 5, and that is attitude and knowledge. It's interesting because a lot of times when I am sitting down with an individual, they say, okay, if I'm going to put in 10 hours a week, what do I have to do? In fact, we were talking earlier, Colin has a guest here today. We were talking earlier, what do I have to do if I'm going to be working in 10 hours a week? Well, we came up with an incredible checklist, the company did. And in this checklist is an accountability activity report. In this actually helps you to take those 5 things in the basic 5 and balance them out. Because there's 3 types of unfranchised owners. There's what we call stable and waiting. These are unfranchised owners that they like the product, they're retailing the product, they every once in a while will show up at meetings, they every once in a while will share the business with people, but it's more like a hobby. The other kind of unfranchised owner is what we call a go now unfranchised owner. A go now unfranchised owner is what we consider a professional in our company. They are going to earn a professional income. Now, many years ago, we listened to an audio by JR, and he actually broke down what is a go now unfranchised owner. If you have a piece of paper here today, I encourage you to write this down. Here's the definition of a go now unfranchised owner. I think it's important to know, if you're trying to be one, you probably need to know what the definition of one is. Would you guys agree with that? Yep, okay, so you guys ready? Say, I'm ready. Thank you. All right, so here's the definition. A go now unfranchised owner is someone who is consistently learning, mastering, and implementing the basic 5. So consistently learning, mastering, and implementing the basic 5 and leading by example. That is JR's definition of a go now unfranchised owner. So how do you do that? Because when you look at the basic 5, there's going to be areas of your strength. Would you guys agree? Yeah, you're going to have areas. Maybe some of you are really great at retailing, but maybe the recruiting is a little scary for you. Maybe some of us are really great at recruiting, but retailing, I'm not too sure. Well, what's probably your natural tendency? Where do you want to gravitate towards? Your strength. Right? You always go towards the thing that you're great at. And sometimes we will avoid the things that we're not so good at. Well, what this list helps you do is it helps you to be able to hone in on these different tasks every week, check these tasks off so that you know I did what I need to do on a weekly basis to be a go now unfranchised owner, to be able to earn a professional income. So when you look at this list, there's 9 items there, and on here, if you're wanting to know where to find this sheet, you're going to go to your back office, go to support materials, help and training, support materials, type in UFO accountability tracking sheet, and you'll find it there. What I always encourage people to do is make 52 copies of this checklist, put it in a binder, and that's your very first year in business. Okay, that's what you do your very first year in business. You don't have to do any more than that. Follow the checklist and you're on your way to the professional income. Yeah, isn't that great? So then you're going to download it. Okay, so let's talk about what's on this checklist. Well, if you look at it, there's 9 items. 4, believe it or not, 4 of these items all have to do with attitude and knowledge. Isn't that crazy? It's all about your belief, your attitude, your posture. You have to feel like, man, this is the best thing out there, or you're not going to prospect and recruit. You have to feel, I am offering a product that's going to change somebody's life, or you're not going to retail, right? If you have integrity, of course you have to feel, I am offering the very best thing to my customer or the very best opportunity to my prospect. So let's look at how does this break down and how do we get this attitude and knowledge? How do we get the posture that we need in order to become a professional with Market America? Well, the first thing is listening to audios. Now, when David and I started our business, we had cassette tapes. Now, for some of you younger UnFranchise owners, you're probably like, what in the heck is a cassette tape? Well, when we would get cassette tapes, they were $5. Do you know that when we did our taxes at the end of the year, we spent more money on the books, the tapes, and attending events than we did anything else in Market America? But it made us money because we had the right attitude. We knew what we were doing and we had the right posture. I mean, you take a 23-year-old couple. My husband was working 100 hours a week. He was donating plasma. When we were involved in multi-level marketing, we'd already talked to everybody we knew. So you get started in Market America and you're like, oh my gosh, we have no credibility. Our lights are and our phone is constantly turned off. I mean, it was so bad financially that collectors were carpooling to our house. It was rough when we got started in this business. So we had to change our mind. If we wanted our world to change, we had to change, right? Okay, so if you look at this UnFranchise Media app, David and I took a 5-year sabbatical. During that time, our income came in every single week. We earned a residual ongoing income while we were in Mexico working in children's homes. Isn't that amazing? This company is awesome, truly. So when we came back, we found out about this UnFranchise Media app. But when we went on it, there was like 1,400 audios or something like that. It was a lot. There was a ton of audios, and they weren't tagged very well, so it was hard to find these items. So David went to JR and he complained. One thing you never want to do with JR is complain. Because if you complain, you're going to get a job. And so JR said, great, why don't you fix it? And so David and my son Colton, our son Colton, and we all flew out to Greensboro, and for a couple of weeks, we went through all 1,400 audios. We cut those audios down to about 200, and then we tagged them. Now here's kind of a thing just for you guys. This is just for you guys, just so you know, so keep it quiet, okay? It's a little inside. So when we were in Greensboro, we thought, what are our favorite audios? So we started writing down our favorite audios. We thought, what's a good way to be able to find these audios instead of having to type in every name? So David, he's a huge fan of the Kansas City Chiefs football team. So if you type in Chiefs, Chiefs, in the search bar, it will pull up every one of our favorite audios on the audio app. Isn't that cool? Okay, so that is the UnFranchise audio app. If you are a new UnFranchise owner, it says rep ID number. It can be your email. Whatever you're logging into your unfranchise.com with, it's the same login on the UnFranchise Media app. All right, let's talk about books, reading. You know, when we started our UnFranchise, David and I, neither one liked to read. I can remember David talking to Kelly, his brother, who was our sponsor in Market America, and Kelly was telling him, David, you need to read more. You're not reading enough. And David said, I hate reading. And it was silent for a little while, and Kelly said, do you like being broke? And David's like, where do I start? That was the smallest motivational speech ever. Do you like being broke? Nope. Where do you start? So we started reading books. Some of the books that completely changed our life are on this PowerPoint here. How to Win Friends and Influence People was a game changer for us because you're dealing with people. The plan is perfect, the company is perfect, but now you involve people and people are not perfect. And so this book was great because it helped us with conflict resolution. It helped us with, mirroring somebody when you're sitting down with somebody. It helped us to make instant friends with people. And so these books are extremely important. If you look at this, you guys will notice that most of the titles have something to do with your mind. Yeah. Now, one thing that we do is, again, we don't leave anything to chance. We never leave the most important task to the least qualified person. Can you guys say that? Never leave the most important task to the least qualified person. So what we do is when we start an unfranchised owner, they don't know anything. So what we do is we give them a recommended reading list. For the first 12 months in business, we give them 12 different books that we recommend. So when they start, they know that they're going to get through those 12 books in their first 12 months. And it's very realistic because some of the books are really small. So they don't have to be reading fast. It's not like overwhelming. It's 20 to 30 minutes a day. These are the 12 books I recommend. When you start an unfranchised owner, they're used to working a job. They're used to being told what to do. And so they start Market America and we don't tell them anything. You have to be very specific. This is what you do in order to be successful. And this is where we start with the reading by recommending certain books. The next thing that's so important is declaring your destiny. It's declaring the things that you want in your life, not what you don't want. Let me ask you a question. If you were to look over the last 30 days, accumulate the words that you've spoke, would your life be better if those things came true or worse if those things came true? You don't have to say it out loud, just think about it. Would you have gotten the flu? You know, how many times have you ever heard somebody say, oh, I always get the flu? Erase, cancel, that doesn't happen to me. I never get the flu, right? How many times have you ever heard somebody say, my food always comes out wrong? Well, what's the chances of their food coming out right? Pretty slim, they just said it's gonna come out wrong, right? You know, we have to, if you wanna be a professional, you have to truly treat it like a professional. Let's look at a professional athlete. Let's say an NBA player. Do you think that LeBron James walks up to the free throw line and says, I bet I'm gonna miss this? He would never say that. In fact, he has spent so much time prior to standing in front of that line, visualizing that ball going in, saying that ball is going to go in. It's not a surprise to him when that ball goes in. How about a heart surgeon? Somebody's going in for surgery, right? Would you want your heart surgeon to say, I hope I don't screw up. Hope I don't cut too far. No, you want them to say, this is going to be great. You're in great hands. This surgery is going to go perfect. So if you expect that from professionals and you want a professional income in what we do, you have to become a professional. That means it's things like every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Yeah. Do you guys try it? Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Yeah. Look at your neighbor and say, you got this. Woo! Good job, thank you. When we started our business, we never got the question of how much money you're making. Because every time that we would sit across the table from somebody, we would say, we are on our way to a residual six-figure income. Every single time. Do you know that nobody ever asked us how much money we were making? They didn't care. Because they were a part of where we were going, not where we were. Our recruiting went down when we started making $10,000 a month. Believe it or not, people are like, that's impossible. I thought when I started making $100,000 a year, people would be lined up around the block. It didn't happen that way, right, Wendy? It doesn't happen that way. Do you know my recruiting went down? I was so proud of myself. You know, I'd say, hey, Sharon, I'm making $100,000 a year in this company. She didn't care. She wasn't part of my $100,000 a year. She was happy for me, but she didn't want to jump on board. But as soon as I started changing my language, declaring where I was going, Sharon wanted to jump on board. Then I said, hey, Sharon, I'm going to increase my income by 6 figures. Then she's like, where do I sign up? How do I get a part of this? Declaring where you're going is so important. And your words will create your world. Every day that you speak your words, you create the world around you. If you're not happy where you are today, you created it. If you want to change it, you just decide it's going to be different tomorrow. You make the words come out of your mouth, read the books, listen to the audios. It's crazy how things will change. It's very fast, right, Elizabeth? In no time, your future can change by the words that you speak on a daily basis. And what you find is whatever you are pouring in will naturally overflow. I can remember sitting down, sharing this concept with somebody. I was just really still new in the business. And as I was talking, I thought JR walked in the room. I was like, I didn't know JR was here. I was saying the same thing he said on the audio. It was me. I thought, wow, this is amazing. Because I was pouring it in, it naturally overflowed to the world around me. I've listened to so many studies lately about, that suicide is on the rise. You listen to the news, you hear people talking, and there's a lot of hopelessness around. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of uncertainty. By listening to books, or by reading books, by listening to audios, by speaking what you want in your life, by attending events, what happens is you will end up, as you sit across the table from your prospect, you're going to have more answers than they have questions. You are going to have more clarity than they have confusion. You will have more hope than they have hopelessness. We are needed. This company can change so many people's lives. We are all puzzle pieces that are needed in this world. But so often, the debt of what we carry, the debt of school loans, the debt of mortgages, the debt of credit cards, it weighs you down. Why do you see a little kid that's just standing here, all of a sudden they run over here? Why does that happen? They don't have any debt. An adult, right? We're weighed down by the stress of life. Imagine if you could help people get out of debt, just the stress that they would take off of them. Imagine if they're working 100 hours a week like my husband and donating plasma, if you could help to get them out of their job, to buy back some of their life, the dreams that they had when they were a child, that they could actually pursue them. They could actually get those dreams to come to reality, to fruition. You don't dream when you're an adult because over the years it's just been knocked down. That's impossible. That can't happen. It can happen. It's happened for me. And if it happened for me, it can happen for you, for sure. In this vehicle of hope, if you look at this picture here, this is a vehicle of hope. You guys will notice that the windshield is much bigger than the rearview mirror. When you're driving a car, you don't spend your time looking in the rearview mirror. You spend your time looking where? In the windshield. You're looking forward. So many times as UnFranchise owners, we focus so much on our past. Even me, why was I so scared? Because I was looking at our failures from our past. There was so much fear with this. Even if you've been an UnFranchise owner for 10 years, and you're like, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to make this happen today. If you're unhappy with where you currently are, you can make that change tomorrow. You're not stuck being a stable or waiting UnFranchise owner. At any point, you decide, I'm going to be a go now UnFranchise owner, and you can make it work. You can make it happen. You have the opportunity. Isn't that exciting? Next year can be better than this year, and you have the power to make it so. Think about that. Next year can be better. You can make more money. You can have more time because you have the power to make it so and the opportunity to make it so. Your past does not have to equal your future. Wow. Your past does not have to equal your future. David and I have been reading biographies. I find them fascinating. I love to read about people's lives. One of the biographies we've been studying is Abraham Lincoln. Interesting story. In Abraham Lincoln's life, when he was relatively young, his love of his life died. And his stepmom, which was really his mom, because his mom had passed away when he was a baby, so his stepmom, which was really his mom, passed away around the same time. He was devastated. In fact, if you read some of his journals or some of his letters, they are dark. They called it melancholy. I would call it depressed. He felt like, what is there to live for? what am I even doing? If you were to look at his biography, that's like the first 1/4 of the book. He had no idea what his future held. He had no idea that he would change what the United States looks like. He had no idea that I would be talking about him 200 years later on the stage and you all would know his name. Isn't that exciting? He made a decision, and these pages are full of exciting stories of where he came. But this is Abraham Lincoln. What about you? What is your story? You know, when you start Market America, you may have come from a past that you never thought about the words you spoke. You haven't read a book since high school. So maybe you're not as happy with those pages, like the first 1/4 of your book, or I don't know how old you are, maybe the first half of your book. Maybe you're not as happy. But you have the opportunity every single day. I have the opportunity every single day to write a new page in my book. And my past does not equal my future. At any point, I can change it, and so can you. Let's go out and write a book that we are proud to look back on, but it has many characters. You're going to sit across the table from people. You're going to have a lot of characters in your book, but you also have the opportunity to be in a lot of other people's books too. Thank you guys so much. Go out and make it happen. Thank you.